Willow Creek was the kind of neighborhood I had imagined when I first decided to leave the chaotic city life behind. The lawns were perfect, the fences freshly painted, and there was a sense of peace in the air. It felt like the perfect place to raise my daughter, to settle into a quieter life. But I soon learned that things weren't as idyllic as they appeared. Beneath the perfect exterior, something dark simmered. A woman named Maggie Thornton, the HOA president. From the moment I moved in, it was clear that she ran this neighborhood with an iron fist, and I had unknowingly stepped right into her territory. She wasn't just strict about the rules, she was obsessed. It didn't matter if the violation was minor or ridiculous. If a single blade of grass grew too high, a notice appeared in your mailbox. If your trash cans were out for 2 minutes past pickup, you'd be slapped with a fine. And forget about holiday decorations. They had to be approved by Maggie herself. It didn't take long for me to realize that Maggie viewed the entire neighborhood as her personal kingdom, and the HOA rulebook was her weapon of choice. I wasn't the first person to feel the weight of her wrath, but I was about to become the one who would stand up to her. It all started with my driveway. After 15 years in law enforcement, I was looking forward to a more peaceful life. I moved into Willow Creek, hoping for a safe, quiet place for my daughter and me. But my plans were quickly derailed when I woke up to find a bright pink violation notice stuck to my police cruiser's windshield. The notice was bold, the words glaring in sharp red ink. No commercial vehicles in driveways. Second violation will result in a fine. I couldn't believe what I was reading. A police car? A commercial vehicle? I shrugged it off, thinking it was a mistake. But when I got home from my shift that evening, there it was again. Another violation notice, this time taped to my front door. And standing on my front lawn was Maggie Thornton herself, arms crossed, wearing her usual smug smile. "Officer Reynolds," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "we have very clear rules in this neighborhood. Your work vehicle is an eyesore. We like to keep Willow Creek looking presentable." I raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, this is a police car. It's not a commercial vehicle." "Rules are rules," she shot back, her voice suddenly colder. "You'll need to move it." I was about to explain further, but I could tell she wasn't listening. Her mind was made up. I sighed, deciding to pick my battles. I'll look into it. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Maggie wasn't satisfied with just the first violation. The next morning, I found a $250 fine waiting for me in my mailbox. I didn't back down. That night, I left the cruiser parked in the same spot, just to see what she'd do next. Sure enough, at exactly 7 a.m., my security cameras captured her marching up my driveway, clipboard in hand, snapping photos. But this time, she wasn't alone. 2 board members from the HOA were by her side, nodding like mindless lackeys. I stepped outside, arms crossed. "Morning, Ms. Thornton. What seems to be the problem?" She flashed me a plastic smile. "You've been warned, Officer Reynolds. Repeated violations have consequences. If you don't comply, we will be forced to take legal action." I chuckled. "Legal action? For parking my patrol car?" Her eyes narrowed. "You may think your badge makes you special, but in my neighborhood, everyone follows the rules. You are not above them." I pulled out my phone. "I just spoke to the county. Your HOA regulations don't classify law enforcement vehicles as commercial. That fine? Completely unenforceable. So I'd advise you to stop harassing me." I could see the anger bubbling beneath the surface. Maggie hated being challenged. But I wasn't prepared for what came next. Over the following days, my security cameras caught her on my property multiple times. First, she left another violation notice. Then, she measured the height of my lawn. Then she took pictures of my trash bins. I was starting to feel like I was living in a surveillance state. But the final straw came one night when my car alarm blared at 2 a.m. I ran outside to find Maggie standing by my cruiser, key in hand, scratching a deep gouge into the side of the vehicle. She froze when the floodlights from my cameras illuminated her. "Ma'am, step away from the car," I said, my voice calm but firm. Her eyes darted around and I could see the panic in them. "Oh, officer, I was just checking for damage. I thought I saw some vandalism earlier," and she stammered, but it was clear she had no good excuse. I pulled out my phone and played the footage back. "You mean this?" I asked. The footage was crystal clear. Maggie standing there, key pressed against the paint of my car. Her expression shifted from feigned concern to pure rage. "You wouldn't dare," she spat, her face red with fury. "I run this neighborhood." I pulled out my handcuffs, my patience wearing thin. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for destruction of property, harassment, and trespassing." The look on her face was pure disbelief. "You can't arrest me. I have rights," she screamed, but I wasn't having it. "Yeah, and you also have the right to remain silent," I said as I cuffed her. The entire neighborhood was abuzz by morning. Everyone had seen Maggie being hauled away in the squad car, her screams echoing down the street. I couldn't believe it was finally over. But as much as I wanted to move on, something gnawed at me. Maggie's hold over this neighborhood had been so strong, so suffocating, that I knew this wasn't the end of her reign of terror. She had power, and people like her didn't go down easily. That afternoon, the HOA board called an emergency meeting. The residents of Willow Creek, now emboldened by Maggie's arrest, began coming forward. Neighbors who had long been silenced by fear spoke up, revealing stories of Maggie's bullying and her abuse of power. They shared how she had used the HOA's influence to push through unnecessary, expensive projects that only served to pad her pockets. The so-called community security cameras weren't for security at all. They were for surveillance, keeping an eye on anyone who dared to question her. It was all coming to light, and the truth was more shocking than I could have imagined. The board members, terrified of being implicated, quickly voted to remove Maggie from her position. Investigations revealed that she had been embezzling HOA funds, funneling money into fake beautification projects and pocketing the leftovers. She'd turned the HOA into her personal cash cow, all while punishing anyone who dared to cross her. Maggie's control over Willow Creek was more than just about rules. It was about power, manipulation, and greed. With no way out, Maggie sold her house at a loss and fled Willow Creek, her reputation shattered, her money seized, and her power gone. She never returned. For the first time in years, the neighborhood was free of her stranglehold. And me? I kept my cruiser parked right where I always had. I wasn't afraid of her anymore. The law wasn't just for her to use as a weapon, it was for everyone. Willow Creek had been through hell, but it was finally free. And for the first time since I moved here, I felt a real sense of peace. As Maggie's reign of terror crumbled, the residents of Willow Creek found their voices. Neighbors who had long lived in fear began organizing, vowing to never let a tyrant like Maggie rise again. With the HOA now under new leadership, the neighborhood became a symbol of unity and resilience, where everyone's voice mattered.